Francis Bacon said, "A man that studieth revenge keeps his own wounds green." Nothing could be truer for Hamlet and the wounds he was dealt by the death of his father and his mother's quick remarriage to his uncle. William Shakespeare's Hamlet is a prime example of a revenge play that illustrates the character's development of protagonist and antagonist and foils. To both engage and entertain the reader, the audience of Hamlet feels for Hamlet in his loss and his lust for revenge against his uncle, who adds insult to injury in marrying the queen and assuming kingship. I want to talk about the character's development and many changes within the context of the revenge play and how the audience reacts to the character's type and interaction. Hamlet is one of the best known revenge plays, which is a form of a tragedy and became popular in the Elizabethan and Jacobean era. The main character and the central figure in literary work, also called a protagonist. This is the character the audience is meant to most clearly identify with, and usually ends up in conflict due to the antagonist. The main character of the play is, of course, Hamlet, the protagonist. Although other characters at some point view Hamlet as an antagonist, the growth to a protagonist takes shape for the reader who is privy to the conversation between Hamlet and his father's ghost. Hamlet amplifies the fateful doting son. He needs to gain revenge and to prove the murder of his father by his uncle. Anger and angst that Hamlet embodies, his descent into madness over the wrong that has occurred within his family, are all universal to mankind throughout generations. This part of his character is the part that enthralls audiences and helps to build the relationship between them, seeking to see him accomplish a justice for the injustice his father suffered. Hamlet's character gives us a rounded personality to view. His relationship with Ophelia and the harm he causes her in his abandonment and the accidental murdering of her father create a tortured soul in which the audience can relate. Hamlet must endear the audience as a protagonist, and yet his character is full of flaws. Hamlet is the crusader for justice against injustice done to his father, going so far as to almost attack his mother, badgering her with questions of her acknowledgment of his father's death and her loyalty. His desire to gain understanding in his mother's action and to explain her culpability and activities that enlighten the audience to the depths of his conviction and loyalty to his father. We must also examine the antagonist of the play and his role and character development in contrast to that of our protagonist, Hamlet. Claudius is the apparent antagonist from the beginning of the play. The antagonist is a main character that represents the opposite against which the protagonist must contend. King Claudius is revealed as an antagonist by the ghost of Hamlet's father. King Claudius has, according to the ghost of Hamlet's father, poisoned him to death by placing poison in his ear as he slept. He further married the queen within a few months of passing of Hamlet's father. King Claudius's character develops King Claudius's character develops rather quickly and desire to kill Hamlet. He sends Hamlet to England with a letter requesting that Hamlet be killed, but our protagonist overcomes by editing the letter, which results in the death of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Claudius is portrayed as a popular opposite to Hamlet's father. Hamlet shows his mother a locket with two pictures of enclosed and forces his mother to view and to confront the stark contrast between the two. This is one example of a foil in the play. Minor characters often fulfill the role of foils. Foils offer a contrast of character traits to other characters and present the reader with a clear and opposite comparison. King Claudius is the polar opposite of the good father of Hamlet. He is held out to be kind, handsome, and wise, while Claudius is revealed in contrast to be sneaky, vile, underhanded, and a murderer. The good versus evil is evident in this comparison. Another foil occurs in this play between the Queen and Ophelia. Ophelia, upon learning of the death of her father, becomes mad and eventually commits suicide, although is thought hard by Laertes when declares this. This is not to say that she is not also a foil, for Hamlet himself, despite the contributes to her losing her mind, both have lost their minds from grief and die. Yet Hamlet is seeking revenge, and Ophelia is simply mad with grief. Another example of a foil is Laertes in Hamlet. Laertes is in a similar situation where his father has been murdered by Hamlet. Although Hamlet did not know it was Polonius that he was killing behind the tapestry, he was no less dead. Laertes also has content with the madness and death of his sister, which led to the argument at the gravesite. Many people have argued that Ophelia's suicide was due to pregnancy from the king, who made suggestive comments to her at the play Hamlet arranged and to whom she shared rue with. Since rue was known to be toxic and cause miscarriages in that time. The character of Hamlet are so detailed, it is no wonder that the name Shakespeare carries such weight even today. The writing of the play invokes emotion for the audience. It creates alliances within the audience with characters in the play. One cannot read Hamlet and not find themselves rooting for protagonist Hamlet to vanquish antagonist Claudius, and though revenge exact justice to him for the murder of Hamlet's father and the death of Hamlet's mother. The weaving of the story of Hamlet is intricate, playing on base emotions of the audience. The desire for fairness and truth to prevail over murder and injustice is ingrained within human beings. The revenge that Hamlet seeks to amend to exact is what in the end cost him not only his life, his mother's life, his lover's life, and his friends' lives. The play brings to light that there is indeed a price to revenge, and that if one chooses such a path, one must be prepared to absorb the consequences. Douglas Holton said, "When seeking revenge, dig two graves, one for yourself." Hamlet obviously needed more than just two, with the ending of the play bringing such vast amounts of death and despair, and yet with it justice.